Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another Red Jacks On podcast with your host, Rick.
Me, Charlie.
Me, Fraser.
And me, Sirhan. Oh, yeah.
And we are...
Red
That's
Jacks On.
really cool.
It still sounds weird after we say our names, but then there's no...
Yeah, it's weird.
But yeah.
We need to find a small jingle, like a Red Jacks On. No, we need
Red
to find
Jacks On. Yeah.
We can make something. We can make something for sure. All right, guys. So I thought this week we'll do something a little bit different than our usual gaming kind of stuff. And I wanted to do a little bit of an appreciation podcast for a very prominent director, one of my favorite directors of all time, Quentin Tarantino.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, okay.
Nice.
I love Tarantino movies. He's one of my favorite directors by far. And yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys. How do you feel about Tarantino movies? Because we don't overly talk too much about his work in general. Not that I can remember anyway. I don't remember us having any kind of talks about his stuff or him in general.
His films are incredible, aren't they? They've got a lot of tropes to them. They've got a certain style. You know the moment you're watching a Quentin Tarantino movie. I am hit and miss with him though. I've watched a few Quentin Tarantino films that are kind of like not my cup of tea. I'll be honest, Pulp Fiction's one that I weren't particularly keen on, and a lot of people were, but I don't know. I think that's just a personal thing. A lot of people are going to hate me for not liking Pulp Fiction. I didn't hate Pulp Fiction. I just kind of like, tell me if someone's to say like, oh, did you watch Pulp Fiction? I'll be like, yeah. They'll be like, what's it about? I can't fucking tell you. I'll be honest. I don't know what to tell you. It's one of them films. But yeah, what about you guys?
Yeah, he's got a very unique film list, and like he said, like mainly from the cinematography of it all, you could tell it's a Quentin Tarantino film. Kill Bill, one of my favorites.
Great film. Great film.
That series, like he has a way of melding that kind of action thriller style and still having like quite a deep and twisted storyline behind it all. Because that's the thing, like you can have an action film and you could just be in it for the action, but it's the underlying story that makes the action for me. Maybe that's just me in my old age now.
No, I agree.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with everyone. Like, I love Quentin Tarantino. I think I'm not going to say grew up with him. I wasn't really exposed to his films, but my family's really into him. So it was always like something I kept hearing about. So I kind of like watched the films on the back of their enjoyment, because for my like mums, dads, aunties and uncles, when these films dropped at their time, they were in their 20s and 30s. It was their prime time. It was their big deals, you know. So I think like on the back of that, I really enjoy it. But I think like you guys, from what served my generation more was like everything from like Kill Bill was probably my first real exposure to him. Loved it. Because I even remember that one of my great uncles, but is a massive film buff. Like he's that guy at home. He's got the projector, the screen, the speakers. Like he goes in, and he got like a specific like limited edition Kill Bill from another country, where in the Western version it goes black and white when it's really bloodied, and in his version it's pure color. So you just see this blood fucking splashing everywhere.
Oh, that's sick.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
But I think the exposure that really made me more into a fan was always be Django. Like Django Unchained for me is just, I can rewatch that film over and over again, and it doesn't tire me out at all. So yeah, a lot of things I can say, but I really like him.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with all of it. Like he's got a very sort of specific style. It's kind of hard to label exactly what that style is, but when you watch it and you're seeing it on screen, it's very clear that this is a Tarantino movie. It's got a very kind of overly stylized, a lot of violence, kind of, you know, it's just he has a very specific kind of way of directing and shooting his movies. And I don't think there's many people, that direct their movies in the same kind of way. Maybe a few, like Robert Rodriguez is another one. If you know any of his work, he's another great director. Sorry, but yeah, there's not many movies that are shot in a Tarantino style, and I think that's kind of what sets him apart from a lot of other filmmakers. He has a very unique vision for his movies.
You know, he directed the Muppets Wizard of Oz.
What?
Yeah, I've never seen something about it.
Oh my god, yeah. He did. That's
definitely
insane.
a Tarantino film, yeah.
What?
He's got.
Oh no, it says Kirk Thatcher was the director.
Oh,
I don't know why it's on his.
Why is it
He
on there?
must have maybe
Lies,
appeared in it
Fraser.
or something.
Lies.
Use- Did he write it?
I don't know. His name's on it, and he's in the cast. Maybe he was in it.
Maybe he was in it.
He might have like done a.
He was the
Who
wizard.
is Quentin Tarantino in the Muppets? In the Muppets Return, Tarantino appears as a version of himself pitching Kermit on his vision for a Muppets Wizard of Oz, which of course is filled with excessive violence. That sounds dope. Sounds really cool. Yeah, that's mad. Who would have thought?
Kermit Unchained.
He's got a habit of doing that, right? Just appearing in his own work.
Yeah.
Who would pay to see Kermit Unchained?
Right. Okay. So Tarantino. Just to give a bit of context to Tarantino. So before he became this huge personality that we all know him to be and this insanely creative director, did you know that he worked in a video store when he was 22 called Video Archives, which was in California. Worked there for about $200 a week. While he was working there, because he was a huge, huge film nerd, he sold 2 screenplays while working at the video store called True Romance in 1993 and Natural Born Killers in 1994. And I think that was kind of what started the funding for him to start his very first film, where he was the debut director of Reservoir Dogs in 1992.
Whoa, what a film to kick off with.
Yeah.
Great film.
Dogs. Fucking amazing film. Amazing film. I'm guessing we've all seen it then.
I have, yep.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What I think of Reservoir Dogs. Oh.
Yeah. If you can remember, I know it's a while ago now.
Been a long time.
That's been a while, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
I think it kind of sets the staple or the benchmark of his films, because it's very rare for any person, any field, to start off something, to have a banger, you know, a number one hit or whatever, and then kind of be consistent. And I think that's what I like about Tarantino. It's you know, I know it's preferences. It's almost like an artist making an album, and it's like, I'm going to prefer some songs to others. And I do have that with him. And I've not watched all of his films, but to start off with something like I didn't know Reservoir Dogs was his first. You know, I was just, you know, by the time I was born, it was like Star Wars. It's like, it's there, it's high ranking. So that was a wild ride in of itself. But I think I look at it more as a big picture of like, damn, man, like, you didn't just absorb and copy and paste what was around you, even in a film store. You really had the knack to create your own, because you know, his work speaks for itself, man. If I didn't know Reservoir Dogs was the first, so fucking kudos.
It was banned in the UK for, I think, 4 years, I think.
Really?
It came over to the UK
period,
late. I think it got re-released in 95 or 96 or something.
Wow.
That must have
I think that's true.
boosted it, though.
Yeah, well, I
mean-
wonder. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the success of the films are usually judged on those first opening week or weekend, but maybe it ended up
Opening
having 2 of
weekend,
those. So,
Well, yeah. One in
Maybe.
America, one in the UK.
yeah.
I mean, he would have been a new unheard director. Maybe it became more. I don't know what it was at the time in the 90s. Maybe it became more of a cult classic. Some films pick up more traction later on, or they drop another 1 or 2 films and you're like, oh my god, like, didn't realize he made a banger. Maybe I don't know what the stats were for Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. So I wonder what he made in that time. Like he must have done some more films during those 3 years.
Pulp Fiction. I think
Yeah,
Pulp Fiction was
yeah.
94,
This-
wasn't it?
94 was Pulp Fiction, yeah. But 92. So just to give you a bit more context, this was his first actual film directing. So the budget for this movie was so low. They had to cut so many corners just to try and make things fit, right?
Oh,
I think one of the main things I remember about this film, I think this was the first film I watched that was a Tarantino movie, and I don't remember too much of it at the time because it was like same kind of era, 90s, like everyone else around me was watching it. But I remember that
Reservoir
one
Dogs,
scene
right?
with yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I remember that one scene where they were playing Stuck in the Middle with You, and that song was playing. I think yeah.
Spoilers for all his films.
Yeah. I mean, it's 1992. I'm sure everyone has seen this film by now.
Yeah.
If you haven't, then
spoilers.
Pause the podcast, go watch the film, and then come back. But yeah, the budget for this movie was so low, they were cutting corners constantly. In fact, I think Tarantino blew the entire budget for the soundtrack on that one song, "Stuck in the Middle with You," and he was fine with it. He was fine with having that one song for the entire track, but for the entire movie. But then they added more music later because the producers struck a deal with like the label and everything, and they got more music into it. But initially, he was happy to blow the entire budget on having one song for the entire movie, and that would have been insane.
That's mad, isn't it?
That's a crazy artistic choice to make.
Yeah. But clearly a good one.
I don't think it was like an artistic choice. I think it was just more like, maybe it was an artistic choice.
Either he's a genius or he's really bad with maths. Really bad with money.
Also,
or he thought it came in installments or something. Sorry.
Budget for the movie again was being so low that the cast, like all the, Mr. Black, Mr. White, Mr. Pink, and everyone, they all brought in their own wardrobe to the movie, and which is what they wore on set. There was no like designer stuff that they had. Everything was their own clothes that they brought in and they were filming on, which was kind of crazy.
That's
mad.
A bit much, yeah.
And some big names in it as well. I mean, were they big names at the time?
That's what I was trying to.
I don't think they would have been. I mean, a few of them. Harvey Keitel, I think, would have been the biggest name at the time, probably.
Not even Buscemi. He must have been in some stuff
Steve,
before.
Or Steve, yeah.
And Tim Roth was in it as well. Who else was in it? Let's have a look.
Tarantino himself was in it. I guess
Tarantino was in it, yeah. Mad though, isn't it? Like when you think these careers probably kicked off from this film. A lot of careers probably kicked off from it.
Yeah. Remember the beginning, the very opening scene when they're all in the diner talking at the table about Madonna's "Like a Virgin" song.
Yeah.
And Tarantino sat there at the table and he's like, it's about her wanting dick the whole time. And everyone's like, no, it's not about that, it's about this or whatever. So when the movie was actually released, Madonna, who was the main topic of conversation in that opening, she really liked the film, but refuted Tarantino's interpretation of her song "Like a Virgin." She gave him a copy of her erotica album and signed it to Quentin. It's not about dick, it's about love. Madonna.
Hardcore.
That is awesome.
I wonder how much that's worth.
Millions probably.
He does that, right? Because I think it's in Pulp Fiction when he's the fixer guy, and like he will sit there and be like, no, this film wasn't about this. It was about this theory of this. Like he doesn't even slyly put his opinion. It's like his character will literally voice his opinion to be like, no, this video, this song was about this, and this. I remember him having that same sort of, I don't want to call outburst, but just this like black and white, this is how it is, this is what it's about, and I'm telling you, I can't remember what it was though. What was his opinion? It was about someone being gay or something, or reinterpreting something musical. I remember him being Pulp Fiction. Maybe it was another film that he was in, but I remember him sort of like really being brash about like, no, this is what this meant.
No,
maybe a lot of his films I haven't watched for too much. It's been too long.
And I don't think it was in Pulp Fiction. Tarantino was in Pulp Fiction, but only for a very small piece of the movie. And I don't remember him talking about anything like that. So maybe it was something else.
It must be like an amazing feeling to be able to direct and sort of star in your own film. Like not star, but even just to be in it for a little bit.
Yeah.
He does that a lot, right? I actually checked why he does that. and he said he does it just because he can, and he's fun.
It's fun, isn't
just
it?
because he
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Which I love that about it. Like, if it's your own movie, you're gonna make it doing what you want to do. If you want to be in the movie, be in the movie. He's even admits like he knows he's not a particularly good actor and he's not good enough to like play big roles, but he's happy to like just fuck around with minor roles and just add to the movie just because he wants to. Which I
Yeah,
love.
why not?
I think that's it. Yeah,
Exactly.
why not?
Yeah. Add your personal touch.
Yeah.
Even more of a personal
And
touch.
it's always nice seeing him like cameo in his own movies for a little bit, even if it is like a few minutes. Right, moving on, segued into Pulp Fiction in 1994. Now, I wrote down, do I need to say anything about this masterpiece? But obviously, Charlie disagrees.
No, so look, I want to kind of like, so I didn't hate the film, and I did enjoy it, and there's so many moments in it. Like, got to like make sure no one like harasses me after this, because I know Pulp Fiction is like this cult classic and stuff, but personally, it's just one of them films that I watched, and I was like, there's a lot of cool moments in it, but as far as the story goes, it weren't my cup of tea. And I'll be honest, a lot of Tarantino's films are like that. I really enjoy them, and it's like one of them films. Like he always makes them films that you want to go and talk to your mates about, because there's like some massive plot twist or something crazy just happens at the end. And Pulp Fiction was one of them, man. When they got down in the basement and got butt raped, for me, I was like, okay, this is my point where I'm like, okay, I'm very confused and I'm not sure if I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna finish it, but I'm very fucking confused.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched it since I was like 15, 16, so might be worth watching it again as an adult and getting it a bit better.
Yeah. I feel like Pulp Fiction, and I do kind of get where Charlie's coming from, because I think I was too young when I first watched. I've watched it maybe twice or three times, but when I first watched it, I was like, okay, I've enjoyed it because it looks different, and I enjoyed the stylization and the theme. But I'm like, I don't get it. I didn't get it so much. It felt like, how like this, like technically like 3 acts of a film. It felt like I was watching the second act, but I didn't know what the first act was.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the third act was. I didn't know where it began. I didn't know where it was going. It was like a chunk in these people's lives. And I don't know if this makes a difference, but I first watched this film by kind of unplanned with my mum. Like, it came on TV and I was like, mate, I honestly was sitting there. I think it came on whatever. It was a preview channel, and I was like, "Oh, mum, like Pulp Fiction. I've heard so much about this." She's like, "Yeah, let's watch it." We both sat there like, "What the fuck is happening? Like, what the fuck is going on?"
Film to watch with your mum.
Yeah,
mate. It was
it's not a good one.
watching that with my mum and watching Scarface with my sister. I think was the worst mistakes I've ever made. It was just like I just feel so fucking awful. But no, watching it again, like. For example, I never knew Bruce Willis was in it. When I saw Bruce Willis in the film, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it was such a strange combo, because you always connected to John Travolta, Samuel Jackson as like the poster guys for that film, and obviously with a bit of Uma Thurman, and that's it. And I listened to the album and stuff, but I didn't know, for example, and correct me if I'm wrong, that wasn't this Samuel Jackson's like breakout role?
No, wasn't his brain. He was already an established actor by this point, but he wasn't the level that he is now. Obviously,
I know his thing. No, Jurassic Park '93. So
yeah, but Jurassic Park
before,
was
so that was a big
it was exposure, but it wasn't like a leading role sort of man. Like, I really feel like this. If I remember correctly, in interviews like Samuel Jackson saying, Tarantino gave me a chance because he broke out in his 40s. He broke out later in life rather than in his 20s and 30s. I think this did give him more of a higher rank, a higher caliber of an actor.
It definitely added to Sam Jackson's stock for sure. This was a big movie, and he was amazing in it.
Yeah,
amazing. Tony mentioned about Bruce Willis.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Apparently, Bruce Willis at the time in America, he'd released a couple of movies that kind of tanked a little bit. So everyone was kind of like half writing Bruce Willis off when Tarantino came to him with the idea for the role, and he snatched it up, and it restored everyone's faith in Bruce Willis again after this film got released.
this before or after Die Hard? I'm guessing before.
After.
I think
Die Hard
After?
came out in Die Hard came out in 88.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. And people were losing faith in Bruce Willis
Six-
after Die Hard. Although he did have Die Hard 2, 3, and they weren't greatly
Die Hard
received.
2
Yeah,
is
but-
pretty
They
cool.
weren't amazing.
I like Die Hard 2.
Yeah,
I
but
like all of them.
it's I think Die Hard, between Die Hard and this, because this film came out in 94. So if Die Hard came out in 88 and then 94
88.
was this, it's saying that Armageddon, what's the film's name?
I mean, we're thinking of these big names of the films that have gone global, right? At the time, this was all the films that were being just shown in America.
Yeah.
So all the films that he done locally, we would have been American-made films that didn't get worldwide access. So we don't know the big ones that tanked.
No, we won't.
Apparently
Because
there was
it was
Ringo.
after this that he had like The Sixth Sense, The Fifth Element.
Mm.
So it kind of shows that.
film that was.
Yeah, all of them.
Mhm.
We could do literally one pick. Do you know with Bruce Willis? So just a small little trivia. So he started off. Me and my mum sat and watched this on YouTube. Really amazing, fun little show, like a comedy romance of him in Moonlighting. Quite famously, that's kind of where he kind of started off. It's like an American TV show of like he's like proper comedy actor, and he does it so well because we see very little of him. And when he got kind of hired for Die Hard, everyone was like, "What?" Like the skinny comedy guy, because at that stage in the 80s it was very Arnie and Stallone, and it was like this sort of guy. Anyway, that kind of broke him out, and that's what it did.
Into the
But to jump
action.
to the other end,
Mm.
do you know that Bruce Willis unfortunately has like retired now? He's got I don't know if
Yeah,
it's Alzheimer's or something. Yeah,
yeah,
like
it's
he's
a degenerative disorder.
yeah.
Yeah.
His family had to
See.
kind of like release a statement saying he can't work anymore. He's mentally
He
like
He can't do much
But
himself
he
anymore.
was
Wow.
still in one more film. Have you seen it? I think it's literally just come out.
no.
And they basically like I don't know all the details around it, but like essentially he was contracted into doing it despite the fact he couldn't remember the lines and shit. Like it was really rough.
Oh man, he was.
had no
he's
idea
a
that was
staple
a
actor,
thing.
man. Full respect for you.
Yeah.
And he also uses so jumping back to Pulp Fiction, he also does use a lot of the same cast. Like he'll elaborate and build up on it, but like everything from Tim Roth, Harvey Keitel, like who else is in there? Like, well, obviously himself, Uma Thurman. Like he does.
Scare me again.
Yeah. He keeps that core cast, and it is just really amazing when you think about what he does with them. From someone like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction to Kill Bill, two very different characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Any of you fucking pricks move, and I'll kill
my
every motherfucking one of you.
I didn't realize for the longest time. You know, we went to Portugal, right? And I can't remember
Yeah.
what song it was, but there was a song that was playing that became like one of our Portugal staple tracks, and it was
Yeah.
called "Yolanda Be Cool" by
Mhm.
something. It took me I didn't realize for years Yolanda Be Cool is obviously Honey Bunny in Pulp Fiction. It was like Yolanda
Mhm,
Be Cool,
mhm.
tell that bitch to fucking chill. That's Yolanda Be Cool.
I didn't know that.
It didn't dawn on me for the
Ah.
longest
I didn't know
time.
that. That's really cool.
A
Yeah.
bit of
It's so
personal
good, mate.
history and trivia.
Like, dude, this film it literally it's taken over. It's in so much pop culture. It's everywhere. You know, it's like Mia Wallace posters or Pulp Fiction, or like the little memes of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vincent and Jules with the guns out. Like, you know, Daft Punk have got like a little version of them with the guns out.
Yeah.
It's this film is just it got a Community reference. It was like they had like a whole episode in Community where everyone like for Arvid's birthday.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually
Yeah.
like it's kind of integrated into a lot of TV and movie because it changed a lot of, especially like the cinematics and the shots that he uses. Granted, he's kind of repeated his own ones a lot, but like the most classic one that I can think of is when the boot opens and it's the shot from inside the boot. That is such an iconic shot of Tarantino, and it's been used in so many different films and medias and stuff. Just because it's such an easy shot, but it's like a really fucking good one. It's such a simple idea, but it's such a good shot. And Tarantino just he came up with shit like that. Mm.
Oh, definitely. His style. I mean, even the whole like John Travolta, like what's in the briefcase. sort of thing, and opening with the golden light. That's been like quoted so many times. The scene with the needle in the heart, which they actually recorded backwards, so he pulls it out and then they go fast forward it. Like, it's just that's what I mean in the sense of I can enjoy the film, but I would have loved to have seen what that film meant to the pop culture at the time, because it wasn't just about it being a good story, a good film. It redefined a lot of different categories. I mean, the soundtrack alone is just amazing. Like, I listened to the soundtrack more than I've watched the film, hands down.
Yeah, I think the thing about Pulp Fiction, which makes it like a divided, people have divided opinions of it. It's like one of those first films to do the whole like multiple storylines are kind of going on at the same time and weaving into each other. And you know, as a first step into that, it holds its own. But then obviously down the line, more films have done it and probably leaned more into the comedy side of it to keep people's attention, I think. So there's like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. I don't know if you guys watched that.
Yeah.
Similar kind of thing, you know. Other directors have taken up, given it a go. So yeah, as one of the first, it definitely defined a genre there, or defined a style.
And obviously,
like go on.
To say that he started off one of the first movie universes. Every one of his movies is a thin thread of connection, because in this one, I can't remember which character it is, but like the Vega brothers, you know, Vincent Vega's in this one, and the Vega other guy is in Reservoir Dogs. Like that, it's the fact that even he had that sort of foresight to kind of be like, I'm going to connect these motherfuckers. These are my books, these are my stories and my films, and that's just in of itself so cool, in my opinion, without being a direct sequel.
Yeah,
it's part
without
of like
being so much
the
in your
genius
face
of Tarantino. Like he's confirmed that there is a connecting theme throughout majority of his movies. So I'm going back from Reservoir Dogs all the way up to his latest film in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They're all somewhat relatively linked in some kind of way. I think if you just like pay attention to it a little bit, you see a lot of overlapping things in different movies that you feel like a certain line of dialogue or like a little action that they do, but everything is very, very slightly linked in some kind of way. But it is really cool to see. So a bit of facts and trivia for this. The movie cost $8 million to make. The initial budget was reportedly even lower until Bruce Willis was added to the cast, because he had recently had a string of domestic flops, but was still a box office champ overseas, which is why we know him to be
the die-hard guy,
tier Bruce Willis. But in America, he was kind of flopping a little bit. So once Bruce Willis was added to the cast, the budget went up by an extra couple mil. But then when it went on to box office weekend, it grossed over 200 million for a budget of 11.
Nice.
It made 200 million.
That's nearly as much as Quantumania. That's mad.
Crazy. That is crazy.
That's actually mad.
And this was one of the first films to be advertised using the internet as well. So the internet would have just started to become a thing then, so it would have made things a bit more accessible, which maybe was why it grossed a lot more than they might have thought. Uma Thurman originally turned down the role of Mia Wallace, but Tarantino was so desperate to have her as Mia, he ended up reading the script to her over the phone and convincing her, which is kind of insane.
Wow.
That is wild.
Sorry, reading that script convinced her. I would have been sat on the other end of the phone like, yeah, look, Quentin, that sounds great, but I don't understand what the fuck is going on, mate.
It's probably I'm not going to stop calling you and I'm not going to stop reading this script until you say yes. So she probably just gave it.
I mean, that is insane. Can you imagine anyone like turning down a role? I mean, maybe at the time it makes more sense, but like looking back, anyone would have been insanely lucky to get a role in this film, man. The word "fuck" is used 265 times in this movie.
I think I've heard that fact before.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
How many of them is Samuel Jackson?
Twice a minute.
I think was Samuel Jackson would be like more like motherfucker. It would be the coupling.
They
Yeah.
can't do it for sure.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
What'd you fucking say, motherfucker? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it literally but like, but he sounds so fucking good, man.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sam
So
Jackson, what a legend.
Ad break.
Don't go. No, I don't want an ad break. No.
Welcome back to another Ill Intent podcast, ladies and gents, your number one source of fun facts and irrelevant bullshit.
That's right. And this week you're all in for a treat as we have another great episode for you folks.
That we do, Phrase. But just before we get into it, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors today over at Gillette. But an even bigger shout out to this week's special guest, Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, wow. Hi, guys. Thank you, everyone, for such a warm welcome. And thank you, guys, for having me. Great work on the Gillette sponsorship. Those things cut real nice.
Yes, they do. The closest shave a man can get. I use Gillette products almost every day, and I can promise you that my skin always feels soft and smooth.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but when you say a close shave, exactly how close are we talking here?
Well...
Classic Tarantino, am I right, everybody? But seriously, thank you so much for being here today. We understand that you're an extremely busy guy, so tell us, what's it like being one of Hollywood's most talented individuals?
The camera up on the left side with the camera on the north position, and the Venus in retrograde. Gillette slicing 60-degree angle should do it. Could get a nice blood spray on the eastern wall, but then we need a couple of cranes and a tracking
Quentin,
dolly.
mate, are you all good?
I'm sorry, I got distracted there with the Gillette. Don't mind me, please do carry on.
Okay. So, we've been hearing rumors that you plan to retire after your next movie?
Oof, I hope it's not true. That would be a dark, dark day for Hollywood indeed.
A dark Hollywood, set in a noir 70s style? The Gillette slasher is on the hunt once more. We open on Hollywood Boulevard, shrouded in darkness. A crowd form on the street, a body laid bare and bloodied. The police have no clues. Secret Service are under threat. We must protect the First Lady. The nation is at its very knees. What will we do next? How will we survive?
Quentin?
I knew this was going to happen. All I wanted to ask him was to just explain Pulp Fiction.
I've got it! I'm so sorry, guys. I have to go while it's still in my mind and make a few calls. I appreciate you having me on. Good luck and God bless with everything. May Tarantino light the way. Okay, bye-bye. We'll see you later.
Is he serious? You can't be serious. We've been at this for over 4 hours now.
What the hell was that about? Mate, listen, I've not missed a meal for 18 years until today, and I'm about to kill somebody. He could have literally filmed that.
Well, I guess that's the episode then. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one, I guess.
Worst episode ever. What a joke.
Okay, well, we're back from the advert.
Back from the advert. Right. Where are we on the list? 97 now. We get into Jackie Brown. This was another great film.
Hold on.
Jackie Brown.
We skipped one.
No? Pulp Fiction
96.
was
From Dusk Till
96?
Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah. It's worth a mention.
That's Robert Rodriguez.
No, it says
No, it's
Quentin
his
Tarantino
film.
here.
Yeah.
He's in it. He didn't direct it. I'm sure it's Robert Rodriguez.
No, it is Robert Rodriguez who directed it. But yeah, no, I think
It's written by
Oh.
Quentin.
it is written by him.
Oh,
yeah.
it's written by
okay.
him, but not directed by him.
I mean, that is also another great film, to be fair, from Dusk Till Dawn.
This is the thing, right? I like Dusk Till Dawn, but this is kind of the example I was saying. The film is actually kind of shit. the whole way through until the end. The end is the bit you talk about, but the rest of it is fucking boring. And like, fight me on it all you want, but you watch that film again, there isn't much good cinematography, there isn't much good dialogue, there isn't much good anything, acting, nothing, until the end, and then you're like, oh, well, that was fucking insane. No one saw that coming. You know, it's a really this is the side of Tarantino and I guess Rodriguez that I'm like, yeah, it's a bit of a cheap cop out on it. You kind of wrote a really shitty film, was like, but then at the end, vampires.
You're dividing our fan
vampires
base.
with big tits.
You are dividing it, but I do see where Charlie. I trust Charlie's judgment. You're quite a movie buff in of yourself, but I think it's again what it was at the time. Because when I hear the stories of my lot going to the cinema to watch this, and you think of the trailers that were released, and it's just a normal Tarantino sort of style Rodriguez film, and then you go and you're like, the fuck, there's vampires. Like that movement alone, people aren't sitting there talking about the camera angles and the sort of the, I don't know, whatever, all the details of a film. They're in for that storyline, and for that time, it punched, man. It left the mark. So that's why I'm like, I get you now, but I get them then. So I kind of watched it with that Star Wars eyes of, this must be good, and I did enjoy it, but it wasn't something that I feel the need to keep going back to. It wasn't my time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the last time I saw From Dusk Till Dawn would have been a very long time ago. So I don't remember too much of the movie. I remember like a lot of the main bits.
Didn't Dusk Till Dawn start off the whole spotlight on Tarantino's foot fetish? Because obviously with the scene with Salma Hayek and pouring the drink on her toes, and it was like, okay, now from this point onwards, every film is like, there's a foot, there's a toe, and there's
Tarantino does love his feet for sure. He loves his feet.
God,
did you have anything else on there? Because the one I had for after Pulp Fiction was just Jackie Brown.
No, you're probably right. If you're going directing. Writing.
There's a film called The Four Rooms that came out in '95 that has 4 directors and writers to it. I don't know how you managed that. But yeah, I haven't watched that one.
Tim Roth is in it as well. Tim Roth's been in every fucking Tarantino project.
Starring
segment The Man from Hollywood.
He became Abomination.
I've not seen The Four Rooms. Have you guys seen The Four Rooms?
No, I didn't know. I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, because it shows it. So when I'm looking at the list of all the films he's associated with on Wikipedia, it will have a column to say director, writer, producer. And some of them are all yeses, some of them are 1 or 2 yeses. So naturally, you've gone for his real films, his films, because he's said that he wants to direct 10 films, and he's done 9 so far. And with the 10th one or the 11th, he's going to retire. Like that was his
correct, sir.
Yeah,
which
I didn't know that. That's kind of cool.
The whole, it sparked the whole kind of reason for me wanting to do this Tarantino podcast. Because at the moment,
a good shout, Ray. Well done.
He's done 9 movies. The way he counts his 9 movies to be is Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill 1 and 2 as one entity, so that's 5.
Yep.
Death Proof, Inglourious Bastards, Django, The Hateful Eight, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So 9, 10 films.
But, and he's got another one coming out it says 2024, The Movie Critic.
Yeah. And supposedly that's going to be Tarantino's last ever movie. After that, he says he wants to retire, which would be a very, very, very sad day for cinema when Tarantino hangs up.
There will be someone to fill that void. It may not be the same, but it will be our generation's Tarantino, I believe. It's just
hopefully
that's a very big shoe to fill. That's a very big shoe to fill.
Let's hope. But let's not jump too ahead, man. I don't want to take away from all your research.
All right. So Jackie Brown, 1997. You guys seen it? It was pretty big. It's not one of my favorite Tarantino movies, but so just really quickly, it's about a flight attendant with a criminal past who gets snapped by the ATF for smuggling. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty shit description. It doesn't really do the movie justice, but that's not all
quite
spoiler alert. Yeah, no, that is definitely not all that happened.
What kind of film is it? It's like a serious film, like a thriller type style thing.
Wow, it's got a big cast in it.
I
It's got
think it's
Samuel
more
Jackson,
like
Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, Chris Tucker.
it's
Robert
a
De Niro.
big film. I've never watched it,
Yeah.
but I always heard it's such a big, like it's like got one of the more bigger cult followings as well of Jackie Brown. But I'm
Oh,
sorry,
Tommy
listeners.
Jr. in it.
Man, it's got Robert De Niro, Chris Tucker,
Yeah.
Danny DeVito, Michael
I have to put this on the
Keaton.
watch list. This looks good. Good
Mhm.
cast.
It is a good film.
Don't come
It is
back
a good
and cuss
film.
it, Charlie. Don't come back and be like, it was shit.
Yeah, I
It makes
watched it
no
yesterday.
sense.
Fucking shit.
I mean, if it helps to sway you, even Sam Jackson has said
Yeah.
that this is one of his favorite Tarantino movies.
that.
Jackie
Yeah.
Brown.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I'm sold. I'm
He
sold. I'm
plays
sold.
the one of the drug dealers, but it is a great film. It is a great film.
Have you watched it, Rick?
I have.
No, he's just
I
saying
watched
it's
it a while
good
ago.
film.
Rick
I watched
has
it a while
actually
ago, to be
watched
fair.
every Tarantino film just before doing this potty. It was like a sitting there like
Every single one. Yes.
It's so desensitized right now. It's gonna be like, yeah, listen up here, motherfuckers. It's awesome. It's like spray blood all over the place and just be like, welcome to the podcast.
We'll move on to Kill Bill, because something that we've all seen, right? And Kill Bill is another fucking amazing film.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's deep as well.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. First one came out in 2003. 2003. It's got this very kind of comic book graphic novel vibe to it, brought to life. And again, it's got a very sort of specific Tarantino style with like the flair, the camera angles, the drama, the violence, all that kind of stuff.
The violence was different though, vividly different in Kill Bill than it was from the others though, because like he had a very raw, real vibe to his blood and gore before. You know, sometimes it was a bit more bloody than it needed to be, but Kill Bill was like the first time I think I'd ever in cinema or anything seen someone's head or limb get chopped off and then nothing happened and then just, you know, like a fountain, just, you know, like full on anime gore. And I think that Kill Bill was definitely one of the first films I ever saw that had that insane amount of blood.
Yeah. Spray.
Yeah.
But you think about like, I think after Pulp Fiction, what I would say as a recipient later on in life, it's one of the other films after Pulp Fiction. It's become so visually iconic, like the T-shirts, the style, even her yellow jumpsuit inspired from Bruce Lee. And like even their code names, like The Bride. That's all she's The Bride. That's it. You only find out her name at the end.
Yeah.
And the fact that he split the film into two, which was a first for him, like it's one of those, even though his films are all classic in of itself, this is one of those like staple films, man. Because I feel like Kill Bill went a bit more than a cult classic. It became more like, it kind of hit more the mainstream.
Iconic, like very iconic.
Yeah.
It was like one of the building blocks for pop culture for sure. Pulp Fiction.
A bit like The Matrix, isn't it? How people would reference The Matrix in that scene where everything slows down. They kind of done the same with Kill Bill, like a whole scene of just someone with a sword, like taking out everyone in a room and stuff, like very Kill Bill style.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's very.
I
some of the
completely
scenes
agree.
in this movie are like insane. Like some of the premises, like the whole crazy 88, the whole fucking Yakuza with the masks and everything. Dude, that alone must have been like, how the fuck are we going to do this? 88 crazy fucking Japanese Yakuza soldiers with swords fighting this one chick in a bar. How the fuck are we going to do that?
That's what
It's
makes
just
it hard to say for sure that another director will be able to sort of take that kind of, I don't know, that kind of get a word.
Words.
My words. You know, that kind of status where you can say, oh yeah, that's definitely a film made by Tarantino, and it'll have that style to it. Because they were solving a lot of problems, like, well, not just thinking up different ways to shoot things and film scenes, action scenes, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's pretty much left to CGI and stuff like that. So
yeah, back then it was kind of a lot more. You've got a problem, we have to physically think it out. There was no computers or
you have
machines.
to get creative.
magically create whatever it is that you want. It was like,
But I
if you want to
think,
do this, we have to build it or do
yeah, but I
something.
think
Yeah.
even for its time though, like if you're okay, pre CGI, there was a method to certain things. Other films had figured it out before. So, oh, you want to do a scene with this type of camera angle, or the camera's going to be up here, and you're going to have the characters down here. Okay, cool. We know this mechanism. We've built it before. But if he's already doing things that haven't been done, it doesn't really matter what exists because he needs to figure out the function of it. Oh, we need this many combatants and this many fighters, this much blood, like the gallons of like pig's blood they use, or even the thing of like, oh, the Western sort of cinema boundaries of you can't have this much blood or gore. It's like, all right, don't cut it out, put it in black and white. Just made it more iconic. It just gave it more of a theme, but it was served the purpose at the time, and that's kind of paved the way for another director to be like, oh, we can't show this. Maybe we can cover it. Maybe we can cut from it. Maybe we can black and white it. Like that way of thinking, CGI or not, is just it's just made it more iconic.
Yeah.
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 He does seem like a problem solver. You give him a big situation and then he kind of goes, fuck it, I don't care. I'm going to do it. Like, we'll get around it. And then it's like, yeah, he'll just on the day kind of come up with something, be like, okay, we were going to do this. We're not allowed. So we're going to do this. And he'll be like, that's way worse. Yeah, but they haven't told us we can't do that. So we're going to do this. Fuck it.
Come on, man.
He does seem like that kind of guy.
The language he uses is alone. The blood and the gore alone. But come on, he's even thrown out the freaking N word. Like he's crossed lines that no other director has done. Really speaking, it's like he justifies it in such a way. And look, I know we're not going to go into that spectrum. There's thousands or hundreds of interviews of him, and now he's like blatantly. I don't blame him. It's like when people ask him, like, how do you justify the violence in your movies? It's like, go watch my other interviews. I'm not having this conversation again. Like, I'm done. I've done this. I've justified it for years now. I'm not doing it for you.
I think there was a book kind of based on him as well. Oh, sorry, go on, Rick.
No, I was gonna say, like, that's kind of the thing. Like nowadays, with making films, everything has become so PC and everything has to be like prim and proper, and you can't overstep your bounds too much in one way. Even if it's you're the creative director and it's your movie and you're telling a specific story from a specific point of view.
It does depend, like, because there are films that are. It's like Quantumania. I think that's like a PG-12 or 13 or whatever it is, but they say like dick so many times. And that's weird because that's Disney, but Disney won't do things like with blood and gore and stuff like that, although they might do with Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
So it's really weird. There are lines and sometimes they get a bit bent.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell these days.
But I think that's why does he develop his own movies through his own studio at this point? Or does he still work through like an external studio?
I think he still has like specific studios that he works with.
He works with, right? Because I think he doesn't bend the rules; he just makes them. And
isn't he in collaboration with that? Sorry, I just thought the studio is in collaboration with. It's the one with the cup at the beginning of the film, isn't it? And then it just has the blood splatter go across it. That's the production studio. It's before most of his films. Like, it's just a cup, like a drinking tea, like a tea cup.
I know what you mean.
And then it's white, and then it just goes blood.
And there's blood that splatters all over the white thing.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the production company, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It literally just hit my head.
Right. So I'm reading it says a band apart. So like a rock band, like apart. And it's a band apart. Films was a production company founded by Tarantino, Michael Bondanacek, and so but I don't know if it's still around, but basically he has created his own production company, at least at one point. So
it's the best
he
way
really
to have
was
creative control, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. He's like the Prince of movies, like Prince is in the artist, formerly known as Prince.
So I'm just getting back to Kill Bill. A little bit of facts for you.
Oh.
According to Tarantino and Uma Thurman in the DVD documentary, the idea for doing Kill Bill began during the filming of Pulp Fiction back in '94. Okay. So in '94 they had Pulp Fiction, and then 9 years later they had the idea was born back then, and then 9 years later we get Kill Bill. They were talking about they wanted to do in the films they would kind of like to make. Tarantino was saying he wants to do like a 70s style kung fu film. When Uma Thurman came up with the idea for the opening shot of like the beaten bride being shot down, and Tarantino loved it, and we got Kill Bill out of it, which is crazy.
Nice. She
How,
gave me a little
how many years
collaboration.
did you say they were thinking about?
9 years. So
It's crazy how you could sit on something for like nearly a decade
Yeah.
and then produce it.
well, we'll get into the decade one a little bit later. But yeah, even some of the scenes in this film, like the whole Hattori Hanzo, which he goes back to get the sword, and then like that whole thing was just fucking sick.
Mhm.
With Sonny Chiba was so sick. So I love that scene.
You're making me want to watch it again, man.
Dude, this is such a good film. This the other scene, you know, where she first walks up into his basement and she sees all the swords, and he's like, funny American girl likes to play with samurai swords. I like to play baseball, and he throws the baseball at her, and she like slices it and chops it in half.
Mhm.
That wasn't CG. That was real. That was
What?
a real scene done by Uma Thurman's stunt double, who literally sliced the baseball with that same sword in real time.
Yeah.
Fucking
Wow, that's sick. I'm gonna have to watch that
Fucking
clip
insane.
again, and yeah, that's sick.
insane.
That's just the
That's really
caliber
cool.
of cinematography
It's
that we won't
Yeah.
get
It's
these
crazy.
days.
And just talent, and that's the thing. Like someone with the actual talent to do that
Talent.
was brought onto the actual set to do it. You know, rather than nowadays it would have just been an easy CG, whatever. But they actually got someone. That's so cool. That's something I didn't know. That's really cool.
I mean, to be fair, this was what 2003, so I think if they wanted to do that CG, they probably could have done it CG in 2003. The fact that that was like a real scene and she really sliced the baseball that flew at her, top tier, legend.
Mad.
So a year later, 2004, we get the sequel, Kill Bill Volume 2, which rounded off Beatrix Kiddo's story. We've all seen 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That is the one where it starts off with her buried, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
the
that's
same
probably my
one
favorite
where-
one, to be honest.
I do prefer watching the second one to the first, which is
Yeah.
strange because I normally prefer the first movie in a
Yeah.
franchise than the second or third. But yeah, the second one was great. Like the whole Pai Mei training sequence, where she goes back to train with Pai Mei, and he's like teaching her like all the little skills and the 1-inch punch. And
Oh my god, the 1-inch
what do
punch,
they call
yeah.
it?
You're talking about the 3-tap
Yeah,
heart
death,
one
the
as well.
death blow, whatever
Death
it
blow.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death blow, death punch, death. Yeah, something death.
5. There you go. 5-point palm exploding heart technique.
Yeah.
Oh, that
That's
was
what
way
it's
more
called.
advanced than we thought it was.
The 5
the inch punch is how she gets out.
Technique.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 5.1 is how she does it at the very end. But I mean, she takes some serious revenge in this film. Because
Mhm.
is
Dude,
it this
she
one where
goes through so much shit.
isn't this one where she wakes up out of the coma?
That's the first one, though.
Is that in the
First
first
one.
one she wakes up
Yeah.
out of the coma? Okay,
In the
cool,
hospital.
cool. It's
Is
all
that
a
the
bit
one where the
blurry
guys
to
are
me.
licking her face and shit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he,
I've
he
seen
was
him,
basically
yeah.
gonna maybe like sodomize her a little bit, and then she wakes up.
Mm.
Thank God. But
It bites his tongue, didn't she? Bites it
yeah,
off. Fucking mad how I remember so much of these films, and I haven't seen them in over a decade. Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's how iconic they are.
Do you know,
Yeah, the second
like,
one,
if
gets
the first one and the second one, were they filmed like back to back, like
back
Endgame
to back.
style?
That's what I
or-
want to know.
Gotta be.
there was a brief break in between, but I don't think they were shot like straight one after the other.
Mhm.
But yeah, they were still relatively close by to each other. Yeah.
I love this film.
Speaking of the blood used in this film, one of the special effects directors, Christopher Allen Nelson, revealed that over 450 gallons of fake blood were used over those 2 movies.
Wow.
450 gallons of fake blood.
A lot of blood. A lot of. Was it all
That's
corn syrup? I'm
insane.
guessing.
Gotta be in it. What's the mix they use?
Pig's-
Like
pig's
corn
blood,
syrup
to
and
my knowledge.
lube or something?
Huh?
Pig's blood. I remember the Kill Bill films had a pig's blood in it.
No way.
That's
They
what
couldn't
I
have
remember.
killed that
him-
many pigs. That's a lot of pigs.
That's a lot of pigs.
But then I guess if you're feeding the staff, who could, makes sense.
I don't think
Bacon all day.
they killed the pigs to do it. I think they just probably took it on from other places that were already killing it for food
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
other stuff.
I'm gonna Google it though.
I'm already on it.
Go on.
Remember the other animation scene that they had? I think it was with was it this one or the first one? Where it's like they show Lucy Liu's character as the sniper, but it's all animated when she's like a kid under the bed.
Yes.
And
Oh my god, I'm
killed.
remembering that as well.
Dude, that whole animation scene in the middle of a movie, I think that was one of the first times I'd seen something like that, like anime shown in a real kind of thing.
Blockbuster
But
movie,
it was just sick. It was so sick.
It wasn't pig's blood. It was
It wasn't,
water of
okay.
some sort. Yeah.
Mumbai.
How many gallons?
450.
450 gallons. That's mad.
That's mad. That's so crazy.
So after Kill Bill 2, I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on Kill
it's
Bill
an
2?
incredible I haven't seen a lot of these films so long, so I'm so sorry that there's not like an in-depth discussion, because they deserve it. Every single one of these films does deserve it. But one, if we did get into every single one of them, this podcast would be long. And secondly, it's just been a long time. He's been going for a while.
I know. I know with Kill Bill 2, because a lot of the fans were really banging on like, please make number 3, please make number 3. It's always rumored that it's gonna surface, and Tarantino's usually kind of said no, like I'm done with that. But I don't know if it was a fan thing, but they kind of like theorized of, there's the scene, I'm pretty sure it's number 2, where she goes and she's fighting that woman in her house and they're smashing up the house, and then the woman's daughter just comes in, they all like hide the knives and like, okay, hey, how you doing? And she goes, and then she kind of kills her in a different way. The fan theory was like, oh, make number 3 about that little girl growing up and coming after the bride for revenge because she kills her mum. Like that was kind of the thread they wanted to pull. I remember hearing a lot. One thing, another thing I will say from that, I really did enjoy, apart from like the scene of her like ripping out the freaking woman's eye, which was just horrific in of itself, and how she killed everyone after. It was like when she finally gets her daughter, and she's having that moment in the hotel room, they're sitting there watching cartoons, and then she just goes into the bathroom, closes the door, and just bawls her eyes out, like cries. And I'm like, I don't blame you. Like you've gone on this like almost comical, not funny, but like comic style adventure of blood, gore, and revenge to get your daughter. Now you've got it. And it was like the most human, grounded moment of like, yeah, you would, man. You've actually got what you were looking for. And that is just nuts. Rather than just clean and cut at the end. I don't know. Just two random things that really kind of I remember.
Yeah, I mean, you went from like one of the first scenes of the first film where she kills the lady in the house, where she kills her and the kid walks in. That's like one of the first scenes. She's the first one that she kills after she gets out of the hospital, and she takes the pussy wagon, which, fun fact, was actually Tarantino's car that he drove around for like a year to promote Kill Bill 2.
Of course.
Yeah, that was like one of the first scenes, and then you jumped like the end of the second film. After she kills Bill and she finally gets her revenge. Spoilers, I'm sure we've all seen it by this point.
She kills Bill. Oh no.
But the way she kills Bill is so sick. It's so good.
Even the way he dies, like, I give him his due. It's just like that step, boom, straight on the floor, and it's like, it's over.
I don't remember him dying. Is that after she takes out all the ninjas in the room? Is that one? And there's
he kills him at his trailer, doesn't he? Doesn't she?
In his garden, in his back garden.
In the garden.
Yeah. So the Crazy 88 is is at the end of the first movie.
Right, that's the one.
The trailer is when she goes to kill Butt in his trailer with.
And then she rips out that woman's eye, and she's just lying on the floor. The one with the eye patch, who was like another student to the same sensei who kills her sensei originally. I'm even surprised I'm remembering this much.
Jealous. Dude, honestly, these films are so good. So fucking good.
There's so many layers.
Okay. Moving on. After Kill Bill 2, Tarantino gets into a bit of like a weird timepiece theme. All the rest of the films are all kind of like set around a specific points in history or certain events, such as the 2009 movie Inglourious Bastards, which was another amazing film.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen it?
Cool.
The Nazi
Star
film.
Car.
We
Of
have,
course.
but I think we've jumped over a film called Death Proof.
Do we know it?
Because I don't know it, but I'm just
Then
saying.
fucking leave it.
No. I'm
He's
saying it
got
out
like
there.
40 films, mate. How long do you want to talk about it?
No, but
You've not seen it. Fucking
he's
move
a
on.
director, writer, and producer on it. I'm just saying I've never heard of it. I just didn't want to break the timeline. Don't want to
Oh.
break the timeline.
No,
That's-
you are right. You are right. You are right. There is
It's about zombies as well.
Death Proof.
Is it? I don't know what I've
You should have
never
known
heard
this.
of
You found it the
in my
other
life.
day.
Yeah, I should have known that. You're right. I've never heard of this though. Death Proof.
I think this is one of those films that kind of just slipped under the radar.
Fell under the
real quick.
radar. I mean, the fact that he's done a zombie film as well is freaking awesome, and the cast is just amazing. I mean, come on, like Kurt Russell. Bro, it's a zombie film we haven't watched. We need to.
It's not even on this list.
It's on my
Struggling to find
list.
it. Death Proof. Yeah, it's really weird. It's not on the first page of Google.
I don't know. It says 2007. It's about a stuntman killing a woman with his car and about another person fighting off a bunch of zombies fighting for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't have to go. We don't have to go into
I've
it.
seen this film.
Never even heard of it, mate. Never even
7
heard
out
of
of
it.
10.
One
Not
for the
even
list.
seen this.
One to
Mm.
put
Yeah,
on the
one
list.
for
But
the
it
list.
is also Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez again.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
we
know what to
I'm
expect.
expecting Dust Till Dawn vibes again.
Yeah, big twist at the end.
And it's got Rosario Dawson. Oh, fucking love Rosario Dawson.
Oh, it looks promising.
Yeah, Glorious
But,
Bastards.
yeah. I've watched that one.
You have seen Inglourious Bastards.
Yes, I watched it around, literally probably around the time it came out.
Nice. Boys, you seen it?
Same. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
film.
It's been a while.
This
I think that's
film-
actually one of
At
my
least
favorite
10
ones of him.
years.
Mm-hmm.
Another classic kind of Tarantino, overly stylized, comedic with like mixed, serious, intense, mad scenes. The characters that they all had were great. Everyone's had like their own kind of distinct personality and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It just meshed so well. Like the pure violence and grittiness of it. I can remember one of the first scenes when they capture a group of Nazis, like the actual bastards. And they're trying to interrogate them, and Brad Pitt's like, where are your people? Where are your people on this map? First guy doesn't tell him. He tries to run away. Guy gets shot. Brings up the next one, and then Eli Roth, one of the other, which is not the big director, but he comes out with the bat, and the way he just swings at him the first time, and this guy just falls to the floor. It was too real.
Yeah.
It was just
It's
so
so good.
fucking real. The sound it made and the way he just fell and then he just kept swinging. It was like, oh, this is going to be one of these movies. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Was that the first time Brad Pitt was in a Tarantino movie as well? Because he kind of stuck around for
I
once upon a
think
time
so.
in Hollywood as well.
I got to see Brad Pitt in a completely different kind of light.
Yeah.
Under a Tarantino vision. Dude, it's so good.
And Leonardo
Such a good actor.
DiCaprio as well, right? Was this the first time Leo was in a thingy film?
He was not.
Wait, who? Wait, I'm getting a film confused with another film. What film is it where he fucking sets lights to a load of Nazis in a theater with the blowtorch?
That's
Once Upon a Time. Hollywood.
But he's acting in the film.
We'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah,
We'll
because
get
that
to
is a
it. We'll get to
reference
it.
to something, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a reference to one of his other
It's a
films.
connection,
Right,
but it's not set in World War II.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I it's understandable, I would say. But I think I remember, to my knowledge, people saying that this was Christoph Waltz's first exposure to the Western cinema, because they were looking for someone to be sort of soft but dangerous, approachable but scary. And I love him as an actor as it is, but wow, what a role! Like when he comes in and obviously he's interviewing some of the people living in the house, and they've got obviously like Jewish people hiding under the floorboards, and it's just his conversation, and they're just eating, and he's just lightly talking and asking them questions. And I think he figures it out at the end, but that tension of just the conversation and everyone sitting there like sweating, intense. I'm like, mate, wow, like that's
a good actor.
Really well written dialogue. That's what I mean. Like Tarantino doesn't need to rely on the outlandish scenes and violence. It's like a collaboration of all these little things and these amazing actors that you've never seen or broken out or that you've known, like Brad Pitt, but they've just put them in a perspective where you're like, oh, I didn't ever think of you like this. Like you've got this in you. But I mean, come on, man. Like Eli Roth, fucking Michael Fassbender.
It's a big cast. When you think of movies having so many big names, the film is usually pretty shit. As far as I've ever seen it, like you can have all these big A-list names on a title, but then it doesn't mean that the movie's going to be good. It's usually average. It doesn't really always pay off. This was the complete fucking opposite. There was so many big names in this film, and everyone was so fucking good. Everyone had like either a big role or a small role, but they nailed it to perfection. It was so good, so good.
I've just remembered this. Yeah, I've just remembered how this one ends.
Well,
confused, but I got there now. It's
they
very
rewrite
similar,
history,
actually.
man. They get Hitler in a completely different way.
They do spray everyone, don't they? Isn't it like it is something in the theater, isn't it? Because they're all watching a film, and then someone just comes out and guns them down.
So at the end of the film, there's like a very specific type of film that they use that's extremely flammable, and the owner of the theater, who was the child back in the day in the opening scene, who escapes Christoph Waltz, Colonel Hans Lander. It's her movie theater, and then she gets her partner to like stock all this flammable film behind the screen so that the Nazis can't see. Middle of the film, they're watching it, and then he sets it all alight. They trap them in the movie theater, and then they got the bosses up top, and they're shooting down the rest, and the whole theater just burns down. But it is an insane ending.
Yeah, that's it.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
Called spoilers a bit late. But
Fraser? Have you watched this particular film? Because you've been a bit quiet.
Yeah, a long time ago. I remember it being advertised.
I
mean, literally seeing it on bus stops and buses and stuff like that.
Yeah, and always thinking, why is it spelled BASTERDS?
But it's quite I'm not going to say probably the most visually iconic film of Tarantino's. Like, it's not something people like will go to Comic-Con or Halloween, it sort of thing. But the reinterpretation of history, that was definitely something I've not been exposed to. But the name was just interesting. Inglorious Bastards. I know even the spelling, like you guys said, like it was just an interesting sound, interesting combination of words in my mind. I was like, oh, I'm kind of curious. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
This was the first film of Tarantino's that I definitely felt the story was amazing. Like, you know, like how like the other ones, it was all about the color, the cinematography, and then the big twist at the end and stuff, and you know, like things like that. And like Pulp Fiction, you know, the story is all over the place, but at the same time, it's like such a journey that you're like, wow, what the fuck is going on? This was like the first time the story was like straightforward. It was there for you, but fucking clever and awesome at the same time. This was one of my favorite films for ages. I had that on DVD and everything.
Yeah, we had the DVD as well.
Yeah.
He worked on the script. Tarantino worked on this script for almost a decade, which probably explains why.
Wow. Well, there you go.
The story feels so full because it's just a great film. So,
Fraser, stop muting
2009.
me. Keep muting me.
Oh, can we mute Sam? Oh, I can't.
No, this is not a theme.
New superpower.
You're in my room now.
2009 was Inglourious Bastards. 3 years later, we get another masterpiece, Django Unchained.
My favorite.
2012.
Dude,
again, surely this film needs absolutely no introduction, right? We've all seen it.
You smell, Charlie. You smell. You're messaging me in the group chat saying you smell. Everyone's picking on me on Zoom. Mom!
In the Zoom chat.
In the Zoom chat. Okay, it's Fraser muting me. Freaking Rick is trying to enlighten me, and Charlie be like, you smell. Like the back of the class throwing fucking spitballs at me. Like, what are you doing? I'm trying to listen, man. Django Unchained.
Django.
Bro.
Django.
Django is a man of time.
Such a good film.
And this is a remake. Loosely based remake.
Yes. The original Django is in this movie, though.
Yes, he is.
The original OG Django. He's in this movie.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, for our two listeners who might be living under a rock, Django Unchained is set in 1858, hence the timepiece period that Tarantino gets into. It's about the U.S. where the U.S. slave trade is still a thing, and a German bounty hunter by the name of Dr. King Schultz frees Django and takes him under his wing as they journey to Mississippi to rescue Django's wife. Again, a very, very brief description of what actually happens in this fucking film.
Yeah. But this, my mind jumped there, but this would be Leonardo DiCaprio's first Tarantino film.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
There is
knocked it out of the fucking park.
Everything to say about this film. Everything, every role, every scene. I just want to touch on one thing specifically because we're not going to touch it too deep. Is the soundtrack to this is one of my favorites again, and apart from having two very famous Italian artists that I've been enlightened to through Tanya, but also through my own favorites because I like Eliza. Eliza's the Ancora key singer in this when they're in the snow, but also and please forgive my pronunciation, Ennio Morricone. And he's the guy that done the original
scored,
the spaghetti westerns, man. The oh my god, what's his name? My mind's gone blank. Come on, guys, the original spaghetti western actor who became a director.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, thank you. My dad loves those films. I was brought up on those films. He bought the box set. I've watched all of them, and they were low budget, and he was the original artist, and now he's scored this. As one of the main artists for Tarantino. I mean, come on, man. What
do you guys reckon?
I'm really excited about the movie. Really excited about this film. I'm really excited.
I will say, Django is the only film that I've really enjoyed Jamie Foxx in. He is one of them actors for me. I think he's not a bad actor at all, but for some reason, the parts he plays actually annoy me a lot of the time. In this film, he's so fucking good. It's oh no, he is an incredible actor. Well, you just get some really weird roles.
Yeah, it's true. It's the kind of love it or hate him kind of movies that he gets into.
Yeah, Electro is just one of them ones that throws you off him.
I think Electro was more bad writing than anything else for that specific character.
He was just not good at playing that character.
Yeah, it's a Spider-Man film though. He's not the main character. He's not going to get too much screen time. He's just the bad guy, right? The angry.
I think I've only ever enjoyed him in Baby Driver.
And Django.
Training Day.
And Django.
Yeah.
He has tons of good films. But getting back to Django specifically, Tarantino stuff, the film in general, start to finish, mate. This film, I've watched this so many times, Pulp Fiction. These are some of my top tier Tarantino movies. If I had to put them in a list order, top 3, probably Pulp Fiction, Django, and then Reservoir Dogs.
You have Pulp Fiction over Django. That's it. That's actually interesting. I guess it is if it's the first kind of introduction to that world, that kind of vibe. I guess it would be. It would.
I love Pulp Fiction. Love that film.
Django's higher for me, but yeah. I get you though.
It is still an amazing film.
Django is probably one of Jamie Foxx's top performances.
It is.
Yeah,
I think it is his top performance, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. But it was a iconic film, and I think it with these different timepieces that Tarantino's going into, I think it's just kind of broadening his spectrum, really showing his ability. And he's done it with the previous films, but it's just getting more and more out there and allowing him to take more and more creative directions. So props to him.
Even the characters he was creating have become bigger in this, because I feel he had more complex, but was filling up more of a bigger role. The biggest non-main character role, let's say, was apart from the Inglourious Basterds, Christopher Waltz, and then this one, every side or main character has got such a specific point. Even Quentin Tarantino being the Australian slave sort of owner, Samuel Jackson's character, despicable guy, but so well played. DiCaprio's even the girl like Kerry Washington, like it is. This was one of the very few films that when I first got with Tanya, I was like, we need to watch this film. Like, if you need to know who I am, this is one of those things that you just need. And we sat and we watched it. I love it. My parents love this film. Like,
question, have you and Tanya watched Push?
What's Push?
Funny.
What's Push?
For all our listeners,
you, baby.
this is a joke that's been going on since we've been about 18, and now we're about 30, 31, and they haven't let it go. So
Joke.
Thank you guys. Can we get back to Tarantino now?
Push.
No,
Is it
we
Push?
haven't watched Push, okay? But you're pushing me.
I've been for years. We'll continue to for years.
Okay. It will never die. I refuse to let that die.
It's so funny. It's such a stupid joke, but it's so funny.
Have you watched Push? What's Push?
What's
But
Push?
I've never watched Push.
You said you wanted Tanya to know who you are, and I was like, Django's a weird choice to explain to you. I thought it would have been Push. Would have been the first your go-to.
You know what phrase? Mute me. Throw me at the fucking group. I don't want to be here anymore.
It's gonna go and watch Push.
Waiting for you to explain it. Been waiting for years.
Years, mate. He's never
Yes,
told
mate.
us about it.
Never heard of
It's
it.
Chris Evans, okay?
Okay, so back to Django.
Anyway, let's move on now.
Anyway, next film.
2012 Django.
I'm going to do a podcast on this film, and you're going to have to listen.
You actually should. We'll just
I
mute
really
you for the whole
will.
thing, and we'll just have our own
we'd have
conversation.
to. Amazing.
All
Right,
let's
so
go
a
back to
bit of
Django.
trivia for Django. You probably already know this, as was one of the big ones, but the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio and they're all having dinner, and he first finds out that Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz are only there to try and get
Helga.
Django's wife back from Hilda. They're only there to get her back. And he's like, "Fuck you guys! You've been fucking me around this whole time." Smashes his hand on the table, and he actually cuts his hand. Like, wasn't scripted, wasn't supposed to happen. I fully fucked up his hand. It was bleeding, and then I think it was bandaged, but there was a certain point where he was like, "Can I rub the blood on your face?"
No, he just
like,
did it, mate. He did it in that one take. She said, what's her name? Kerry Washington. Yeah, she said it in an interview. Like, he did it. We noticed. He carried on, so we all kept in character. And then he literally wiped his own blood on her face. And like, she was like shook. She didn't know what to do.
You can see it in her face. When you watch that scene back, you can literally see it in her face. Like, she stops acting and she is just like, what the fuck have you just done? But she keeps it. She keeps it in control.
That's either crazy or brilliant.
It's both, isn't it? It's crazy brilliant.
It serves the
DiCaprio,
character
fucking
moment so
amazing.
well, because that's the point where the Mr. Candy, whatever, he drops the facade, the politeness, because the money, it all drops, and it just adds. That's what I mean. Like, every character has such a spotlight moment. Like, even the side character, they all have a moment where you're like, whoa, like they've as an actor, well done, but just wow.
I'm not sure if it was that same dinner scene, but during the filming of one of the dinner scenes, Leonardo DiCaprio reportedly he had to actually stop shooting the scene because he was having a difficult time using so many racial slurs.
Yeah.
When he did,
I heard about that.
Sam
That'd be
Jackson pulled him
must be
aside and was like, "Motherfucker, this is just another Tuesday for us. Get it together." And then that was it. He just carried on with the movie.
What a legend, Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
So fucking sick.
Let's not overlook Samuel Jackson. What a fucking legend he is. Oh, he's so cool.
I think he's been one of the OGs from Pulp Fiction to now to be frequent in his films.
Was he in Kill Bill?
He was.
No.
He was in Kill
Was he in Kill Bill?
He was.
What was he in Kill Bill?
If you try and remember, but he was in Kill Bill. He's
He was
not in it as like a major role, but he is in it.
Yeah, I think I did see him on the casting, but I can't remember him in it.
You know the few scenes where it flashbacks to the wife in the wedding chapel, and there's like the dude on the piano. That's Sam Jackson kind of narrating it.
Oh yeah! Oh my
There you go.
god! Look at him! Yeah,
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
So
As soon as I saw the
has he
picture,
been in his main ones then? So like, has he been in all 9 so far?
He's not been in all 9, but I
No.
think out of
Not Reservoir Dogs.
all of the films, he's
Inglourious
been
Bastards.
in majority. I think he met
And all
Sam
the
Jackson
big
after
ones.
Reservoir Dogs, which is why he wasn't in there. But
Mm.
yeah, man, I love that he uses the same kind of cast in a lot of
Yeah.
his movies. Like Tim Roth is in there a lot, Michael Madsen's in there a lot, Sam Jackson's in there a lot. Christoph Waltz is kind of slowly becoming a staple in like the last 2 movies.
Seems
now.
like it,
amazing
yeah.
actor. Amazing actor.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you be pissed, yeah, if you were one of the other cast members in one of these films and then Tarantino just kept bringing back the other guy? You'd just be like, oh, all right, clearly didn't fucking like me then. He loved this guy. Been in like 8 of his films. I've only been in the 1.
he has said like the reason why he reuses the same cast is because he just gets on with these people, and
Yeah, that's it.
they're just friends. They
sense.
get on, like they know how they work. They
They get
know
his
how,
vibe.
yeah, like and it's just a good partnership, and
Of
they make
course.
amazing.
Who
shit
the
together,
hell
so-
wouldn't want to, let alone work with people you get on with? But when it's your own creative endeavor, you don't want to make music, make films, or if you can draw a picture for people you don't like. If people
Exactly.
share that vision and get you, I would happily bring them, and they do it well. They do it well.
And yeah, that's it. They are the talent, aren't they? They are the main talents from them films that you iconically remember. That he's like, yeah, you're coming back. You're coming back. Although Uma Thurman, oh yeah, no, of course she was in Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill. Yeah, yeah. Is it just those 2?
Yeah.
She might have been in. She might have had a cameo somewhere.
Might have popped up somewhere else.
Oh, I think she did
Maybe.
cameo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, didn't she? If I'm not
That's what I
mistaken.
would've-
Yeah, I think she may have, but don't quote me on that.
She might
we'll
be
get
in
there,
it
we'll get there.
as like a side character, maybe somewhere on the side, but I don't remember her actually being in it.
I don't think
Oh,
she's.
moving on.
But anyway,
Yeah, sorry, just googling. Yeah,
That's
no,
all
it
right.
is just those technically 3 films, but 2 in his collection.
Yeah.
Still a great 2 movies to be in for Tarantino. You got your whole Kill Bill 1 and 2 and Pulp Fiction. So
And you're guaranteed
Especially
to
the
be in
main,
the 10th.
as the main character as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was Django 2012 set in 1858. 3 years later, we get The Hateful Eight in 2015.
We
Also,
watched this together,
ironically
Rikesh.
titled as this was Tarantino's 8th movie, and we did watch this together. I
We
remember
sat
watching
and
it
watched
with
this
you.
together. Wow,
This
it was a
was-
long ass film.
yeah,
I
It
haven't
was
seen
definitely-
the Hateful Eight. Haven't seen it.
I don't think you're gonna like it.
Mate.
I
It's
think that's why I
very
didn't
long.
watch it.
It's very, very long, and it is low paced for like the first hour or so. It's kind of like all set up and build up and everything. But then, without giving too
It all
much
goes
away,
down.
once shit kicks off, shit kicks off. It just.
I mean, you can talk about it,
goes
it's fine.
Full.
It's been out
There
a
is
while.
the
I want you
extended
to watch
version as well.
I will.
Yeah.
We'll watch it.
I was just looking at that.
What version?
Extended version.
Chapters.
As soon as you said
I mean, the
chapters,
original
it cut.
movie is still split into chapters. There are like you get title cards for like certain bits of the movie.
Oh,
I don't know if that continues in like just more in the extended version. I don't know what the difference is between the movie release and the extended.
they have ad breaks.
I just know it to be longer.
Ad break.
Break.
But yeah, okay, so fine. For Charlie who hasn't seen it, no spoilers. This is set sometime after the Civil War in America between the North and the South, where another bounty hunter again is transporting a dangerous gang leader named Daisy Domergue. When they meet Major Marcus Warren, played by Sam Jackson, and they journey through a vicious snowstorm where they have to take refuge in a nearby cabin where they encounter a host of nefarious characters as they try to survive the night.
It's
very,
it's
very
one of those
brief,
films,
but-
Chaz, where it's like, yeah, it's like a very closed set, like one room and a cast of people, and just what happens
Yeah.
in that one room is basic.
That does
Majority
sound
of the
really
movie
interesting.
Takes place in this cabin, yeah. But
Okay.
yeah,
It's
dude,
one
I'm
of
telling
those
you, just-
Magnificent Seven style films.
Ironically,
Yeah,
it's one better. It's a Hateful Eight.
exactly. A group of misfits band together.
Oh, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. You've sold it more than the trailers did.
I mean,
I said
It is.
misfits.
honestly,
It is. Listen, it is slow.
Yeah.
It is very slow at points. Like, understand
That's
it's
not
not
mine,
a high. It's not a high end. No, I'm just saying, like, because it's very easy to kind of switch off from it. Like, I reckon if Rikesh wasn't there, to have someone to watch it with me, I would not have been as engaged.
Okay.
In my
I'll watch it
opinion.
with
Right.
Rikesh.
yeah.
Watch,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Watch it with Rikesh.
Cool. Rikesh, come round.
No worries, mate. I got you.
Hateful 2.
So, have you seen it, Fraze? You've seen this?
Yeah, saw it once, I think. It's
It
hard
was
when
too long. I felt like
it's hard when those films have that slow burn, like especially at the beginning. It can really take away from the rest of it, and then you're just like quick to you really want to move on to something else.
Yeah. To be fair, I remember like the first hour or so of this movie, I was like, "What the fuck is happening? Like, it's not really going anywhere. It's just kind of everyone sat talking for a while." But it lays up some serious groundwork for the rest of the movie. But it is great.
I'll check it out.
Do you remember hearing about one of Tarantino's movies getting leaked online? The script got leaked online.
The
think so.
script, yeah.
This was the movie
This is the one.
that it got leaked for.
Oh,
The Hateful Eight. It got
that's
leaked a while
pissed.
ago.
Who would leak
and
a fucking script? That's such a dick thing to do.
I don't know if they ever actually found out who it was, but after it got leaked online, Tarantino himself said he did not want to make the movie after it got leaked. However,
Yeah.
after a brief reading of the script in LA, the cast was stunned and excited for the film, and Sam Jackson actually persuaded him to make the movie because he really liked the script for it, so it got made.
Come on, motherfucker, make that film.
Yeah. Do you reckon Sam Jackson is literally Tarantino's hype man when it comes to, like, you know, if he doubts himself on something, he just like pulls him aside and just gives him that little speech the same way he did with DiCaprio.
Calls him up in the middle of the night.
He could be the hype man for anything. Just literally in my head typing an essay, like, come on, motherfucker, 100 more words. I'd be like, okay.
That's not bad, motherfucker. Honestly, man, this film was just great. So unexpected the way it ends from the way it starts, but it's a very great watch for sure. A great watch.
We're on the last
And
one.
then that
now,
leads
right?
us to his last or his most current movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 2019.
I
haven't
really
watched
like
it.
this
Just
film.
before COVID hit,
Sell it to me.
shut down.
I have not watched this. This is the only Tarantino film
guys, this is
I've
a good one. This is a real good one.
This is a good
You
one.
did. I remember you telling us it was a good film, but I have not watched this. This is something for me to watch.
It's about an actor who's struggling and he's got like a stunt guy who's Brad Pitt. So it's Leonardo DiCaprio's the actor, Brad Pitt's the stunt guy, and it's based on the Sharon Tate murder. I don't know if you ever heard about the Sharon Tate murder when, what was it, Charles Manson or whatever his name was. That kind of cult went into the Hollywood Boulevard and went up her drive, went into her house and murdered the whole family. But it's like a retelling, obviously, like the way he does it, of his retelling of history. I'll let Rick tell it though, because he's probably got a little description.
I mean, I've got a little one, but a very, very brief one. But I was kind of getting into it with yours, so yeah. But yeah, man, you kind of nailed it. It's set in 1969 in LA, where a faded television star by the name of Rick Dalton, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and his stunt double and BFF Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, they're struggling to achieve and reignite the fame and stardom they once had in the final years of Hollywood's golden age. It is a bit of a weird one because this is paced much differently to every other Tarantino movie that he's made. It, like you said, it's like a kind of a retelling of a specific set of stories, Sharon Tate being just one of them. Sharon Tate's character actually played by why have I blanked on her name?
Margot Robbie, wasn't it?
Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Margaret.
Yeah, like her
Margaret.
story is tied into it. You've got Rick and Cliff's side of the story is tied into it. There's a lot that goes on in this movie, and again, it's like another slow kind of burner. You're kind of just watching a story unfold. There's not much that happens, but it's still a really well told
Kicks
story.
off at the end, as per usual. It kicks
except
off
for
at the
the
end.
last 10-15 minutes when it goes full on Tarantino and everything is just.
It is very interesting. It is like I would personally say this has like it is like that slow burn, like build up, but it has enough stuff in it in that build up that is still fun. Like there's a Bruce Lee like reference or cameo, I guess. And they shit all over Bruce Lee, and it's so. At first, you're like, "Oh, why are they going to do that to Bruce?" And then you think, "Yeah, but this is Tarantino. It's not the same universe. Like this is a different universe." But yeah, basically, Brad Pitt just fucks him up, like showing off.
That is such a good scene.
Six skills, and then Brad Pitt just like one punches him out.
I think I've seen that scene actually.
Yeah,
online.
it's pretty sweet. But yeah, it has loads of little cool bits in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that Bruce Lee scene was one of the trailers. I think briefly shown for one of the trailers for the movie. Yeah, man. Honestly, this was another good one. This was another good one.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm the only one out of you two that's seen it. Like out of us three.
Surprising. Yeah, crazy. I thought
2019
we would have all seen it.
It's a good watch,
Charlie.
It's worth a watch.
Where did you watch it? How did you watch it?
I watched it on Blu-ray. Someone brought it round. I watched it on Blu-ray.
Of course, you got it on Blu-ray.
All the best things are on Blu-ray. I watched it on Blu-ray. I can't remember. Maybe Damien or something. Yeah, someone brought it round, and I just remember really enjoying it. I think I watched it alone as well, and really loved it.
How long is it? It's a 2.5-hour film.
Yeah.
One of those things. I don't even remember it being advertised or anything like that.
Oh, I remember it being advertised.
COVID times.
It came out close to the
COVID
end
times,
of 2019, right?
Yeah, wow. So that's his roster up until this next one coming out next year. So
the movie Critic in 2024.
Is it filming?
It's got everyone in it. Like Samuel Jackson, Uma Thurman, Tim Roth, Kurt Russell. No, I'm
Leonardo DiCaprio. No, it
says, they in it?
So the movie. So the only names that they've mentioned is Jackson, DiCaprio, Roth, Waltz, and Brad Pitt.
Wow, okay.
That is already a fucking.
And Tarantino, I imagine.
Yeah,
and Tarantino.
Like those names, that already sounds.
That's what Google's saying anyway. But can we just say like little? What's our top three? I know we touched on it, but I've got mine in my head.
Okay, top three. Top three for me. I'm on number one. Pulp Fiction for sure. I cannot even tell you how many times I've seen that movie. Django, number two, and then Reservoir Dogs as my third. Top three Tarantino movies would be those three.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty fair.
What about you guys?
That's tough. Go on, Fraser, you go first because I'm still thinking.
Yeah, it's probably got to be Django Unchained, number one. And then count Kill Bill as one entity, shall we? Put that at number two.
Yeah.
And then Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. Very, very close to yours, Fred, because I think I had to really think about I think only because Kill Bill came out such a long time ago and it was like that sort of like childhood memory or younger memory. Kill Bill number one, then Django, and then Pulp Fiction.
It's a fair list.
That's fair. All right. So I'm kind of I think Inglourious Basterds is probably the one that I remember enjoying the most. So I'd say Inglourious Basterds number one. Oh, it's so tough. It's so tough.
That is another great film.
I mean, that's the thing. And then I see and then I scroll a little bit and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I've got so many to consider. All right, no, Kill Bill was, I mean, if you're counting 1 and 2 as a same movie, Kill Bill, I mean, that's got to be, I'm going to put that number one, and then I'm going to put Inglourious Basterds, then I'm going to put Django. I'm probably going to, that opinion will change every day of the week. Huh?
Kill Bill, Inglourious Basterds, and then Django.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Django and Inglourious Basterds is tough. that changes whenever. Whenever I've watched it, it will go back on top. Yeah,
I
I'll
mean,
stand by
What
it.
about
That's
Once
also
Upon a
fair.
Time? I thought you would have mentioned.
It's great. I really love Once Upon a Time, but it's not one of my favorites. I mean, I enjoyed it, and it's the most recent one I've watched, so it's the most fresh in my mind. But
Fair.
yeah, I think Inglourious Basterds actually was better, like just because it was such an interesting storyline. But Once Upon a Time is a bit more. It's a bit silly and funny at times, whereas Inglourious Basterds had that depth to it, that kind of Nazi depth with the the guy who was playing Hitler was fucking insane. You know, it was so good. Well, not, like, you know, he just had his little moments, but yeah, like, yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, man, I'm thoroughly looking forward to the next one, the movie critic, whenever it is eventually going to be out. I'm not too sure.
Imagine it's a 3-hour film.
Is it?
Yeah, it might be like a 2-parter or something like Kill Bill. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. Like, there's a lot of films that he's done that are like, as I said, kind of like that just don't hit me the right way. But I feel like that's the part of it that a lot of people love. So I feel like he must be in a very like tough situation to try and please everyone that likes his films, because he's got such a variety of similar films, like similar, not similar films, but you know what I mean, like constructs.
Similar kind of theme. Yeah. I think I don't think Tarantino's ever really cared too much about pleasing the fans. I think he kind of just, at this point, he's just making what he wants to watch, the kind of films that he enjoys creating. And especially if this is going to be his last movie, I think he will just have fun with it. I don't see it going to being as much of a let's please the fans, give the fans everything they want kind of thing. I think he would, and rightly so, should just make a film that he wants to make.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a.
To do it.
I think it will be a bit of a passion project for him as well. Like, I was just reading something that says it will be about one of his favorite subjects, which is 70s movies, and it's not going to be like a biopic, but a real person inspired him to make it.
Interesting.
So maybe another one of his alternate universes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Have you guys, just side note, because I think it's worth mentioning, but have you guys ever read Popcorn by Ben Elton?
No.
Fantastic book. Please check it out. It's so good, especially Sirhan, because it's like, if you liked media and you know all the terminologies like close up, extreme close up, stuff like that. But basically, this is a film that was kind of based on Tarantino a little bit, because of the gory directions and stuff that these films were coming out. And it's this director who is very, very well known. He's just exactly like Quentin Tarantino, like really well known for his like gory films. But then there's this whole other side of it that's like, you're encouraging violence, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, like, so while he's dealing with all that, there's this insane couple that are going around just murdering people and blaming it on his movies. And eventually they go to his house, hold him hostage and put it on live TV and say, this is how much your nation loves gore. If everyone switches their TVs off and tunes off of this channel when it gets down to 0 views, I'll let them all live. And the views just go up. It's such a good, but it's based on like a fictional tale of Tarantino kind of thing. It's definitely worth a read.
There was like a Black Mirror episode.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Oh, what's
very
that?
Black Mirror.
Yeah, there was one, but it was like it was obviously like more about views and stuff, like for an online video. I think it was. Black Mirror.
I think it was, or maybe Black Mirror. I think it was Black Mirror or the Orville, maybe one of those two.
Or maybe it was
its
its own show.
Of it.
Or maybe it was no show.
Maybe it was in my mind.
Maybe I dreamed
it. But that
sounds good. But yeah, man, that's been the Tarantino podcast. I just wanted to go through a little bit, highlight some of his work, some of his amazing moments in his career.
Done, Rikesh. Well done. It was a really nice random topic that I did not prepare myself for this, but I think it's good, especially leading on to the fact that he.
Oh,
The delay in
stopped.
Sirhan is so funny.
You lag and then
just
you
stopped
stop. And
talking.
I don't know if you're still talking or not.
I just
Yeah,
went
no, I
to
just wanted
check
to-
if I pressed mute or not. I definitely did.
He's got it on hotkey. He just, if he taps the letter like S, it's just
Press
shut up.
press the red button.
Push the red
Press
button.
it again.
Yeah,
Like,
that probably-
you guys don't
that
know
was it
how
from me,
much
guys.
I've loved you.
Don't have
so
anything
much.
else.
No, mate, that was
Anything
good.
else?
It was unexpected, as Sirhan said. I wasn't expecting the director. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I learned some
That was
Yeah.
stuff.
cool. Yeah.
I got some
Nice.
films to
I did.
add to my list.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Definitely.
especially because
definitely
it's
watch
leading
the
to his
Hateful Eight.
last film.
Hmm.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you watch it.
So is Tarantino like your top tier, your very number one director?
I mean, it's hard for me to like give my favorite top director of all time, but Tarantino is definitely up there with like one of my favorite directors of all time. Like, he just has a specific way with movies. It's just great.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's just great. It's just,
Do you know, this has inspired me because it's true. Like, I'm not a big like director fan favorite person, but like Tarantino is one of my favorites. But another favorite is like Edgar Wright,
Oh yeah,
and I would
Yeah.
that would be a cool one to do if we could even prep ourselves watching some of his, because he's another one in his own class doing his own thing. But yeah, I would say that Tarantino and probably Edgar Wright are the two that I can think of at the top of my head.
yeah. I mean, you got Chris Nolan. You got
Yeah,
so many
Guy
good
Ritchie.
directors out there. Guy Ritchie,
So
yeah,
many-
done fucking
so
Hot
many-
Fuzz.
yeah,
and
Guy
everything.
Ritchie.
Yeah,
so many good directors.
No, wait, Edgar Wright did Hot Fuzz, didn't he?
Edgar
Was that a
Wright did
Hot Fuzz
yeah.
film? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Edgar Wright's. Yeah, that's not a bad
The
topic. Add that to the list.
Cornetto trilogy.
Cornetto trilogy, yeah, and then The World's End. I don't know if he did that one.
Yeah,
He did.
he did that as
He
well.
did.
Baby Driver, loved that film.
Paul.
Damn, he's done it. He's done it in a lot of films. But
Yeah,
He's done some good movies, man, for sure.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
boys,
no,
that was all from me. Any closing thoughts on Tarantino from you guys?
is he Italian? The heritage.
Interesting question.
The name, no, just the name. The name is so interesting in of itself.
Yeah,
I'm like, is he
Got to be
Italian?
a stage
no idea.
name, isn't it? That's
I
got
don't
to be a
think it
stage
is.
name. Actually, that's a good question. Is that his real name? What is Quentin Tarantino's? Oh, no.
An Italian. His dad was Italian. He's an Italian
Is his
American actor and musician. Yeah.
Yeah, Quentin Jerome Tarantino.
And Jerome is such a random one
Yeah.
to throw in there, isn't it? Quentin Jerome Tarantino. Yeah, no, it's weird.
The Jerome just throw it off.
I can't believe that's his name. He was always destined for good things, really. You can't. How could you fuck up? Like, you can't be working at fucking Best Buy or Woolworths or something. Like, Mr. Tarantino,
Like,
come to my office.
Quinton to aisle 9.
Yeah, Quentin. Just mopping up some sick on the floor. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Rikesh. That was a very
boys.
good report.
Thank you, Rick.
no worries. You're
Sign us
welcome,
out.
boys. So that another Red Jacks on podcast by
Bow,
us,
bow,
me,
bow,
Rick.
bow, bow.
Me, Charlie.
Us, Fraser.
And me, Sirhan. Bow, bow,
And
bow.
we are-
I'm doing the signing out.
And we are the
Red Jacks.